Hari Om. I've again muted everybody. I hope you can hear me.
Yes, we hear you.
Very good. And for those who don't talk, I'm asking again, please turn off the microphone so that we spend less information. The internet is totally overcharged here. It's not very good, but I hope like this it will work. Okay, Cyril, as you are here.
Yes.
Very nice. You want to say something?
Well, it's always great to meet you and to get your energy and yeah, what it's a great help. I mean, I know, you know, since so many years, but you always put back on the track and remind, and there is always something to learn. And that's it. Well, I'm fighting parasite. I catch in India, so it's not very funny.
You're fighting what?
Parasite.
Oh my God. Yeah.
So, was not so much fun.
Not so much fun.
You know, I told you before I had this great opening in meditation, and now everything went bad. I go back to my stomach and to my trouble, and then everything is fucked. Okay, but today is better. And you?
Anyhow, you still have the memory of your experience. That's inspiring to continue.
Right.
Right.
And you, Chiruvanamalai?
Yes, I'm fine. It's rather warm now on the roof, some 40 centigrades.
Oh. Somebody gave me a message from David Goodman, who's talking about the situation in Chiruvanamalai, what is going on about the COVID, and then he say you are not much touch in Chiruvanamalai, but it's a very interesting message.
Yeah. There was slight loosening up of the lockdown, so you can a bit easier move around. And it seems it hasn't come here so much. There are cases, but people start their life again as usual. Slowly the town is getting polluted again.
Well, you appreciate this time of no pollution, no car, and no prediction, no Giri Pradikshina, full moon, Purnima?
No full moon was there. Still will not be there. I mean, the crowds, they don't allow crowds still.
And ashram is still closed?
Yes.
Okay. So.
Okay. I wish you good luck with your health.
Yes. Now I'm taking essential oil. You understand? Essential oil.
Yes.
For 15 days because I try antibiotic anyway.
Yeah.
Okay.
The main thing is that you have to decide that you want to get rid of it.
Oh.
And if that decision is strong, they have to go eventually.
Okay. Yeah.
If you have that decision, then the medicine can help you. But if that decision is not there in you, you can eat as much medicine as you want. They always come back.
Okay, so it's you're talking about willpower.
Yes, not simply force of will, but intent, a real deep decision. Okay, that may have shown me something, but I have had it. It's no more. I'm no more open for it. It has to go.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. Good luck.
Thank you.
All right. Anybody else would like to come in?
Hi, good morning, Werner. It's Udi.
Hello, Udi. Nice to see you again.
I hope that you are doing okay. And I
Yes.
want to start maybe with a question. I had the feeling that there is something that I will call them the non-satisfied thing, something that is running all the time with me, of being not satisfied from one thing to the other. From time to time, I succeed maybe to deal with that, but it seemed to me as a inside feeling that is running along with us and prevent us from going forward, going of being free in our thoughts and mind. The non-satisfied, I would say, personality or something inside.
Mm-hmm.
So, if you have any comment about this, I think it seemed to me a normal feeling of people running in the world, that they have some idea and those ideas are not fulfilled, and then we become unsatisfied and so on and so on.
Right. And as you said, it seems to be the normal thing. And I would rather say it's just the usual. But it's not really our normal state, our natural state. But somehow we have been born in a world where most of the people function like this and are in a state like this most of the time. And so it seems to be totally normal that we also grow up like this and function like this. But it doesn't need to be so. It's a result of our false identification with the role that we are playing. That we have so totally identified with that personality and think that's what I am. And then, of course, this personality has its agendas, what it likes, what it doesn't like, what should come, what should not come. And most of the time, destiny is not playing along and not arranging things the way we would like it, and not avoiding the things that we don't like. And so most of the time there is that feeling of not satisfaction. Deep down, we know our natural state is a state of abundance, of happiness, of overflowing, flowing joy of life. And somehow everybody looks for that, longs for that, but looks for that most of the time in the wrong places. For moments when desires are fulfilled, one can get the notion, I get it, and for a moment it comes through, but then that calms down again and it turns to the usual way of functioning and existing. One can survive, it's okay, but there is always that nagging feeling of something is not quite right. Something should be different. And it's also right. As long as we're feeling always a bit heavy, a bit, okay, life, we can go on, then that's not the way we have to exist. It's just the way we have gotten used to exist and don't know that we can exist differently. But deep down we do know and want it. And because of that, that sense of dissatisfaction is there. But we cannot get rid of the dissatisfaction by fulfilling desires, by accumulating more wealth, by doing this, doing that to get greater kicks. It will never do, it will never bring it. We just have to learn to turn the attention back to the self, away from that attachment to the personality, and become aware, hey, it's already there. What I have been looking for all my life, searching everywhere, running here and there, trying to find it, trying to get it. It is already there. If we just stop getting away from it, if we just stop creating that sense of being separated from that.
You mentioned the feeling of the false identification.
Mm-hmm.
So if there is a false identification, probably there is one true identification. But the question is why we are using this instrument of trying to identify me compared or me toward, or to use this instrument. And if we will not use it, if it's possible, can we realize what is the truth?
I mean, there's nothing wrong in using this instrument, this personality. We have come here into this world to make certain experiences. But then somehow, while growing up in a world where everybody is so totally identified with that personality, we have made that mistake of identifying with that instrument, that channel through which we connect on this level. There's nothing wrong in a way with the personality. Simply be aware that's my instrument through which I'm connecting on this level in order to make certain experiences. So nothing wrong with using it. Simply learn to be aware that every moment, all the time, there is that aspect in you that is not attached, unconcerned, unattached, unaffected, totally free of all this, in spite of whatever is happening outside. The more you turn the attention towards that, the less that feeling of dissatisfaction will be there, because you stop looking for satisfaction in places where you cannot really find it.
So the usage of this experiencing the false identification help us in clarify the picture?
Oh, that's what you meant, the usage of the identification. Not,
yeah.
You didn't mean the usage of the personality. Right, becoming aware that this identification is wrong, then we learn not to do that anymore. Then we learn to just keep, it's like keep a speck of identification there that we need in order to survive, that we need in order to keep on playing that role, but that speck will keep that possibility there, that there is a personality appearing in the world, that you can play your role, but it has not more that capacity to bind you and to create suffering.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
I wish you well, Yudi. Anybody would like to come?
Hello, Werner.
Hello.
I have two questions,
Yes.
and one is based on what you were just saying. The personality or the ego, and then there's the pure consciousness. You know, how do those two things feel in you?
How do they feel in me? Their pure consciousness, there is not a me that has somehow I'm not having somehow in myself pure consciousness. There is pure consciousness, and out of that me comes. It's the me is in the pure consciousness, not the pure consciousness in the me. It's not that there is somehow another luxury in life that you have to somehow attain, which is called pure consciousness, and then you can add it to the treasures you have. But the more you are rooted with your attention in that immovable aspect, pure consciousness, pure love, pure force of life, the more it will also manifest in your appearance, in your manifestation as a very joyous and pleasant experience. That also the body feels much better. The body feels vitalized, a crippling sensation of existence. But it's not that you can say, my experience of pure consciousness is like this or like that. The first is that, and out of that, the personality comes. Now the person, of course, there is always that speck of identification, and at moments that identification increases a bit, there is a lot of action going on, a lot of stuff happening, but still that awareness doesn't go, that there is deep down, there is something, there is an aspect that is not affected by any of this. So then you stop taking yourself as a person, you stop taking this world, you stop taking all that is happening so very serious. See it as a divine game, as a play, where you have entered for some time to make experiences, to learn, because the learning still continues. There's no end to it.
And it never feels confusing? What?
Confusing, not. But I mean, there are situations where I simply don't know what's going to happen, where I'm not somehow like in control. Actually, more the feeling is there is not really ever a real control. But then if there is no clarity in the situation, then fine. Then there's no clarity in the situation, and that is also accepted. And somehow it's always working out this way or that way. The things are crystallizing themselves out and things continue again. But if you mean a confusion about identity, no, that confusion is not there.
Okay, and my second question was, do you think you would have gotten to the place that you're at now had you not had all of those years, I forget how many years in isolated meditation? Do you think you would have gotten where you are now?
If you ask this fellow, no. Because I was the way I was, my character was the way I was, so I couldn't really go my way in any other way than the way I went it. I would say it was essential, but this is my story. That doesn't mean that that I'm saying this is how it has to be. Each story is unique and new and beautiful. And what is right for one may be totally wrong for another.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Anybody else would like to come?
Yes. Hi, Werner.
Yes. Ah, hi.
Hi,
What's your name
everyone.
again? What's your name again?
Ben and Marlene.
Ah, Ben. Yes, yes.
Yeah.
I see only Ben right now.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Oh, now I see both of you.
Um, I was just now you were just talking about everybody having his own story and his own path that unfolds as it does, and I was just wondering about the impact of others on us and our impact on others, and how to if there's any effort or any intention to have regarding the other, and more particularly now we've been living at my parents since the confinement.
Yes.
And I can see how we have very different lifestyle and understanding of life. And I feel that by living together, we do impact each other. I feel their impact, and I'm sure somehow they have ours. But yeah, just wondering if there's maybe any suggestion on any thing to be particularly be mindful about in this relationships, or if just being oneself is really all that matters, and try to stay anchored in oneself.
That's the central part. That's the main thing. The more you are authentic, the more you radiate something that, of course, your impact will become stronger and you will get less affected by the impact of the others. And if you are authentic, if you are centered in the self, not in the personality, then what you are radiating is always beneficial, even if people are not exactly recognizing that around you. At the same time, of course, on the relative level, if you have to live in the same space with other people, it's always okay to make compromises so that everybody can exist there. That externally we have to adjust, but that doesn't mean we have to adjust our experience. That the more you are centered in the timelessness, in the now, in the self, the less you are affected by all the stuff that comes around, by the impact of the others. Energetically, we are, of course, influencing each other. If we are living in the same space, then we are always sharing our energies. That influence is there. But the more you are clear with yourself, the more automatically those aspects that are not beneficial for you will somehow either be repulsed or absorbed and transformed into something else. It's not that you have to walk around in the common space and try to create a shield around yourself. It works a little bit, but it never really works on and on and on. And then in a way you have to make your shield stronger and stronger and stronger, and spending all your time, your energy for that. It's more that you have to become transparent. The more you are at ease, at peace, in that timelessness of the present, the more you become transparent. And influences that are not beneficial, they simply pass through and they don't leave a trace. They don't harm you. And also you said about the attitude when you live together. I mean, if you live together, then, as I said, you have to make compromises and let the people be the way they are. Accept them the way they are. Often this may not be so easy, especially if they are near and dear ones. And we see how they hurt themselves, how they make themselves unhappy. And from outside, you can often easily see the mechanism, how this is happening. But that still, you cannot go after people and tell them you are all wrong, how you are doing it, that whatever, your life is not good, then let them be the way they are. And if they feel that from you something comes they could benefit from consciously, then they come and ask. But the more you are authentic, the more you are centered, the more you are in harmony with yourself, the more you simply radiate that at the people around you, immediately around you, they will benefit from it. And ultimately, you are connected to everything, everything benefits. If you really want to do something good for the world, for the universe, then make peace with yourself and be happy.
Nice. That I like that. That deeply resonates, and yeah, I think yeah, especially the point about accepting people as they are, which is sometimes the challenge when you see that people have a certain lifestyle and certain mental habits that, like you say, is obvious that is not beneficial for them. But I think trying to be the good person, saying giving the answers is, I've tried that before, and it doesn't really work. So
it doesn't work.
I think it's more peaceful for everyone when there's nobody trying to fix anyone.
Yes. Right. But one young man said, "Oh, my family, it's so terrible. Whenever I go home, we start to scream at each other. They think what I'm doing, all this spiritual stuff is completely wrong." And then I asked him, "But hey, my friend, you going home? Are you not going to do exactly the same thing?" And he was all shocked and said, "Yes, but I mean, I'm right." No, he's not right. If his family is totally into materialism and into worldliness, then he's absolutely not right to go and try to preach to them they should become more spiritual, as they are not try to preach to him that he should become again more material.
Yeah.
Right. It goes both ways. But if you live with people, if you are authentic, it influences people, whether they know it or whether they don't know it. And something is happening there, and gradually, even mentally, they may open up and start to be more open for discussions. But only then it can be beneficial, not when you go after them, trying to fix them. Don't fix them.
No, yeah. No, and I think that's why, I mean, for me to be with my parents now for so long was a real gift of this whole event happening. And even though I see it more with my mother, that there's a lot of now communication and everything flows really well, and I feel like we understand each other. With my dad, it seems like it's 100 times slower and not much is happening, and it's still quite cold and not warm communication, even though I think there's respect. But I feel that deeply, just to be near each other and in each other's field and energy is anyway great. So
we are always at the right place to learn what we have to learn right there. And so if you are there, stuck with your parents, that's the place where you have to be.
Also for me, yeah.
And Marlene also has to be with my parents. Yeah, great.
Yes. Also for the daughter-in-law.
Also for the daughter-in-law. Yeah. She's a great help for me, so it's good.
Yeah.
I'm a good daughter-in-law.
Nice.
Thank you, Werner. Hari Om.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Anybody would like to come?
Hi, Werner.
Hello.
Werner?
Yes, hello. I see you. Maya?
Hi, how are you? Yes.
Maya, yeah.
Um,
It's so much light here now, in spite of the shade of the roof, that I'm not seeing too clearly the image when it comes up. But that's why I have to sometimes.
okay, it's okay now?
Anyhow, it's the situation here. It's not your situation.
Okay.
Yeah.
As the times goes on and the identification with the personal is fading, I stay with this very sweet vibration of being. And there is nothing there, and at the same time, there is everything there.
Mm.
And it's like you said, it's very peaceful and harmonic and sweet. But from time to time, there is like a very strong resistance that comes up. And it has two different stories. From time to time, it says, there is nothing here. It's only, there is no pain, but there is no excited too. There is just quiet joy, but it says this is not life. It's like wave of resistance, strong resistance to this, to stay in this, coming. And from time to time, and it's a wave, it's coming and going. It's a strong fear of fading.
Yes. Yeah.
And I know it's not really fading. I know it's I'm not really can disappear because I'm not really here as I think. But there is a fear of not being anymore.
Yes.
And this one again is like a wave, but it's like a strong resistance to this nothingness.
Somebody is interfering. Please mute your
Udi, your microphone.
microphone if you are not. It's Udi. Okay. I hear you. Are you finished, Maya?
Yes, yes, yes.
Of course, these reactions, they come from the habit, from the mind, from the habitual personality. And even if you are often consciously connected and you feel it's all right, then sometimes that resistance can come, that the feeling, oh, but this is not life, it's dry. What's the point in it? It's just dryness there. But it's simply like that because the old habit has not really given up. So just stick it out. It will go away, because if that is holding on from the old habit is not more there, then this beingness is everything else but dry. It's full of life, full of beauty, full of creativity. But this will come. It may sometimes come very short, a wave, as you say. Sometimes it may be there for a period, that it's always that feeling, oh, but what's the point? You connect, you are here, you are now. but what? Nothing is happening. But that feeling is there because the old habit doesn't really want to give up, want to let go. So just persist. Eventually it goes. And then you become aware that fear was totally unfounded. And also the fear of disappearing. What can disappear is all that creates problems. What can disappear is all that creates troubles. What can disappear is all that creates suffering. So good riddance, for heaven's sake. There's nothing wrong in getting rid of that. You cannot disappear. You, what you are. Simply all the unnecessary baggage that we have accumulated, that can disappear. And as long as that identification with that baggage is there, then the fear comes. Oh, but what happens when I'm disappearing? Then simply nothing is there. And then what was the point of all that struggle? But I can assure you, you won't get thwarted. You're not at the point that eventually you think you feel totally cheated by all that. No. Eventually the point comes and you look back and you think the whole damn story made sense.
Okay.
So just watch these waves. They come, they go, never mind them. Be, connect, and relax. Relax, relax, relax. The more we relax, the more the old is dropping off, the more that joyousness, the beauty of existence bubbles to the surface. But it's true. You can consciously connect and not feel much of that, because the connection is still an effort that we have to hold on to. But as long as it's not happening spontaneously, that effort is very good. But learn to relax in the effort more and more. And then you feel less and less this meaninglessness of it or the dryness of it.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Is there anybody who would like to talk? Okay, then I'm talking about something. Irit from Israel, she has asked me in writing. I have been talking about what happens to consciousness after death. Well, consciousness is simply withdrawn in your being, in your beingness. I've been talking about that, I think 2 satsangs ago, and now her question is, yes, but what is that being then doing? Where is that being going? And I cannot really tell you that being will be doing this and will be doing that, because the possibility is simply staggering. That being will do what it wants to do, what it likes to do. That being will be drawn to project maybe another story into another manifestation, where that being is hoping to make the necessary experiences there that help the further unfolding of the experience of that beingness. For that process simply continues. But there's absolutely nothing one can say. Where is that being going? What is that being doing that has withdrawn the consciousness out of this matrix of this time space when a person's lifespan is over, that role is played, the curtain falls, the story is over, the consciousness is withdrawn in that being that has projected whatever was necessary to play that person. But where you are going, only that being that you really are will know that. There is not that compulsion, you have to do this, you have to do that, and you have to go through all kinds of repeated incarnations and to experience this and experience that. That being will, out of joy, simply decide in what direction the further development will be. So because this is so totally open, I cannot say anything more about it. You have all these mystical groups that tell you exactly what is happening after death, in what kind of space you are getting, what kind of helps you are getting, and they are not totally true and they are not totally wrong. This all can happen. All these spaces are there. What happens after death to the consciousness is that first something will manifest, most probably, for which that consciousness is open in order to let go of the old story. And that can be very conscious beliefs, or that can be very unconscious beliefs that one has in themselves. And these different spaces, I'm sure they are all there, ready to help people when they are leaving this world, to help them on. But it's just somehow to, if at all, that kind of thing is necessary, somehow to prepare that ball of consciousness to help to let go of what has happened and prepare to open to simply return home to the being, to that beingness. I'm not in any way going to say or claim that I know in detail what is going to happen to each one. I know that the possibilities, what can happen, are so large as the personalities are so different here. But basically, for that I have no doubt, it's a very positive journey. It's a returning home. It's a becoming aware what has happened, learning from the good things, from the bad things, learning from the things that have been experienced in joy or in pain or in sadness, and being happy for the richness of that experience. That being that has sent that part that is your personality into this world is richer for all this experience and will open up and go wherever the heart is pulling to continue that unfolding process, that unfolding experiencing that mystery of existence, that mystery of one's own beingness. I hope, Irit, this has somewhat answered your question, even if I cannot give you any concrete answer.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
You are welcome. You are Irit, yeah?
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
You said you asked a friend to ask because you have difficulties to express yourself in English.
Yes.
So I don't want to press you to express you any further.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
You're welcome. Anybody else would like to come in?
Werner?
I would like to continue that, Werner.
Yes.
It's Udi.
Yeah. Somebody else also has tried. So Udi, you continue that.
Yeah,
and
I
then
would
the other person
like
come.
to continue with the question that was asked early. Is that today we are more and more in situation to see people around us, many our parents or beloved one, in a state of dementia and Alzheimer. And also this question, what's going on there? What's happened there in their consciousness, in their existence, in their mind? It's very, very confusing, this situation, and seeing one of your beloved entering to this new world of a non-communicated person, creating a lot of suffering. This is my experience.
Yeah, yeah. But still, you cannot really change that for them if they are not ready to let go of their way of functioning, if they are not ready to open up, to somehow broaden, then of course often it's not very pleasant to see people hurting themselves, suffering, that are close. And one would like to help, one would like to change the situation, and you can just project that invitation. They're always welcome to come to you and talk to you if they are ready to listen. And otherwise be with them and talk about the ordinary things people talk about. There is an energetic exchange all the time when people talk about, and if people are ready only to communicate very banal and ordinary things, then you just talk the banal and ordinary things with them. Then still they will benefit if you energetically connect with them and exchange something. But as long as that readiness is not there in them, that somehow they have to change if they don't want to suffer anymore, then you cannot really do directly something. You can just remain rooted in your own well-being when you connect. That is the greatest help for them. If we start to get worried looking at them, all that we are doing is adding more worries and more negativity to the situation. But if you can see their story and still be strong, like a rock, rooted in your own being, in your own well-being, then they are benefiting from your presence, whether they know it or not. People are often not ready at all to change, because it's so easy to make always other people responsible, to make the society responsible, to make the world responsible, to make the universe responsible, to make God responsible. Not happiness for our misfortune, for our suffering, instead of having a good, honest look at ourselves and see that we are creating it ourselves. If that readiness is not there, you can't do anything. You can't go to them and tell, look at yourself, it's you. They will give you a good beating for it. So you're right, you need to be strong. It's not often not easy. With loved ones, with close people, seeing how they are functioning, see how they are making themselves unhappy. Still, you have to accept them the way they are and function and be aware. Still, behind all that, there is also that same divinity, like in yourself and like in everybody. And one day, this will come to the surface more. And if at present it's a bit buried under personal worries and personal misfortunes and personal unhappy emotions, then you have to accept them for the time being the way they are. That's how they are functioning. And just being with you is giving a signal deep down, even if they have no idea that this is happening, but it's that signal is there that, hey, come on, I could do that differently. I could change. And maybe gradually it's starting to blossom and comes to the surface. But if not, then you have to be patient with them. Just before Udi came, somebody wanted to come in. Hello?
Hello?
Ah, yes. Hello.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I hear you.
Good. Good. How are you? How are you?
Oh, I'm quite fine.
Good.
Do we know each other?
Yes, I've come to your satsang maybe 2 or 3 times. I'm in Tiru right now.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, it's been really blessed experience being here in Tiru for this.
Oh, now I see you better. Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, I'm really taking advantage of the situation here and just sitting a lot in meditation. And in fact, I'm finding it difficult to leave sitting at all. I'm become very absorbed in the stillness, and I find it very difficult to make any excuse to leave, including eating or doing any sort of responsibilities.
Yeah.
And yeah, anytime I start to move, it's just, you know, there's somewhat of this guilty or sad feeling that's like, oh, like this was, you know, this is the bliss. Why are you leaving? And I know this is the baseline behind it all, behind all of my activities. This stillness is there. However, when I sit, the focus of my attention is really strong, and I'm
Yes.
really able to focus on God. And when I'm doing activities such as some sort of work, or even having to tend to my needs to go get food and things, there's less focus. And yeah, just wondering what you have to say about this.
It doesn't cause you, it's not a problem that it is like this for that time, that you feel like not doing anything else. That's not a problem for you. I'm asking that as a question. It's not causing you a problem.
No,
it is.
No, it feels wonderful just to sit.
Right, then by all means, sit quietly, but don't forget completely to eat.
Right.
You can very well do whatever little external work is needed to keep the story going, and stay then as focused as you can. And if you are here now and the story and the circumstances are as they are, and you feel really this is the right thing to do, by all means, continue doing that. The world will come again and knock at your doors, and you will have to accept that your life becomes again more active, but then charge your batteries now as good as you can, and the more you are consciously connected now, the easier you can after that also more and more bring it out in other activities. So for the time being, continue like this, and if somehow from the circumstances you are forced to change your external story again, don't resist it. Okay, now it's time to do it differently. Because if you then resist and think, oh, I would much more like much more to continue the same, then you're wasting your energy for that. But for the time being, as you feel it's good and you have the possibility to do so, by all means, continue to do so.
Wonderful. And do you have any advice on fasting then?
People are different. And do you feel like fasting, or you simply have the idea you should fast in order to get somewhere?
Right, right. And I've gone through that process already, where I saw my mind try to attach itself to some future idea of what would happen, and, put myself through some misery. But yeah, I've experimented with it, and it seems like, one day is okay, and then the second day I start to get really weak with energy, and my meditation suffers. However, I do have, more etheric, subtle body experiences that are very pleasant.
They are very pleasant, but they are still right. Subtle body experiences. And if you're getting weaker and weaker, then it's no point. No, if you feel really the urge to fast, then you fast. But otherwise, you better just eat regularly. Just don't overstuff you and eat regularly. Then the body is causing less problems.
Wonderful.
You're welcome.
Much love. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Anybody else would like to talk? Okay, then I'm answering another question. There is Vivian from Switzerland, has just before the satsang written to me that sometimes in her meditations there are gaps. And after that, when she comes out of that, she feels so refreshed and energized and beautiful. And so she was wondering, is this what in India is called the Turiya state? Because in India it has that concept of the Turiya. Turiya means, translated, actually the fourth state. There is the usual rotation of the waking state, the dream state, and the deep sleep, and the Turiya is the fourth state. Actually, the Turiya is not a state like the three other states, that one state comes and follows the other. The Turiya is more the background against which all the other states existing. They come and go. And this is not a state that we have to somehow create. It's just in the Indian tradition as a concept, it's simply called like this, like it was another state, the fourth state, but it's more that pure consciousness that is simply there against the background of which everything else is perceived and can happen. Now she asked, but in what way is then the Turiya different from deep sleep? What's the difference? In the deep sleep also, I'm not there. But that's the only real similarity, that in deep sleep, somehow everything simply disappears, but the consciousness also disappears. It's simply a shutting down. Whereas when you are aware of that pure consciousness, there is no shutting down. You can, all your ideas about yourself and the whole world can for some time simply totally disappear. But there is consciousness. There is not that unconsciousness of the sleeping state. So what you are experiencing in your meditation is not what in the tradition, in the Indian tradition, is called the Turiya Avastha, the fourth state. But it can happen in meditation that one goes deeper and somehow the usual registration mechanism is not there. It's similar to sleep, but it's not exactly like sleeping, because in sleeping simply completely one shuts down, but you come into it with a greater consciousness, and accordingly when you come out of it, you bring with you that sense of refreshment and energy, that you energized. So there is something also that can happen in meditation, which is not sleep, but which is also not Turiya or Samadhi. I don't use usually that word Samadhi because everybody uses it for something else. Sometimes people, they just have a relatively good meditation and then they talk about their Samadhi. That's why usually I don't use that word. But you can, in your meditation, just somehow whoop, go into such spaces that are not quite sleep, but still similar to sleep. But within short time, you can get so strongly refreshed and energized. So it's not the Turiya state, it's not sleep. But sleep and Turiya state, sleep and Samadhi are not the same. They have simply similar properties in the sense that you as a person may completely disappear for some time. The world may disappear, but while one is shutting down and you are just totally unconscious, the other is totally conscious. Well, I don't want to go more into theories about that. I hope, Vivian, this question has been answered for you. Otherwise...
Yes, thank you very much, Werner. Thank you.
Oh, you are Vivian. You have
yes.
You have come in last time.
Yes.
Yes.
But I'm a bit shy, and then I would maybe, the question would maybe take 10 minutes until I'm on the point. That's why I thought I pose it with writing. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Anybody else would like to come? Please come.
Hello.
Hello, Manuela.
I have to say, mostly I ask questions because I enjoy so much talking to you. No, but I have a question. I have a question about strong emotions. So sometimes there are so strong emotions and they just carry me or then I'm totally identified. I can see it. I can still see it and I see, okay, now you're totally in your movie. But they are so strong. If I then start to turn inward, no, that's not working at all. So and I thought, even if I know the principle of getting identified, getting triggered with strong emotions, but then it's quite difficult to be focused. So that means turning inwards doesn't help at all in this moment.
No, you don't have to turn away. If you can, I mean, you talk about strong emotions. If they are weak emotions, you can just drop them. But if there are strong emotions, then it's not possible that you just say, okay, bye-bye, I'm going inside. Okay, then you just do the opposite. To say, okay, come. I'm here. Then now come. And really manifest and let those emotions come totally. And if you shift your attention then on the emotion and not on this scenario that brought the emotion about. Oops, somebody is interfering. Please shut your microphone down. I think it hasn't worked, so I'm going to mute everybody. After that, Manuela, you have to come in again.
Yes. Aha, I'm there.
Yeah, okay.
Ooh, no, you are somehow frozen. The picture is frozen.
All right.
Ah, no, I can see you.
We are just, yeah. But could you hear me?
No?
Oh, I see.
I hear you before you mute everybody, but after not.
Uh-huh. If you have the presence of mind when a strong emotion comes, that you can consciously say, okay, now this emotion is there. So instead of fighting with it, instead of trying to go inside and not outside with the emotion, then you just invite the emotion. Okay, come. You're welcome. Just really totally manifest. And then if you do that, already the attention is withdrawing from the situation that brought the emotion about. Because usually such emotions, they are not coming just out of the blue, but something triggered them. And if we get stuck totally on that level that is triggering, then maybe that emotion gets bigger and bigger and totally destructive. But once you become aware, oh, I'm fully into that in that reaction, then okay, accept, then let me react, let me have that emotion and relax in the emotion, and then actually it becomes quite interesting. Not fighting emotions that you don't want to have, inviting them, experiencing them very strongly, but after some time, if you don't feed them by holding on to the situation that brought them about and feed them with my idea that I'm wrong, I'm right, they are wrong, I'm right, they are wrong, and stuff like that, but just watch the emotion, then for some time it may get stronger, even stronger, and quite an experience. But then if you're not feeding it, then gradually it will fade away again.
Okay. Actually, I remember I was once in the Oneness University. It's north of Chennai. Yes. I don't know if you know that. And they told us, let the emotions be a tiger and let you eat by the tiger. It's a little bit the same, like you surrender and let you eat by the tiger, who is the big emotion.
Yes, I mean, you can express it like this. I think they were meaning the same thing that I just told to you.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Hope you are well in Berlin.
So I try my best.
Yeah. We have all our little things to go through. Anybody else there who would like to talk?
Okay, Werner, it's me again.
Yes. Hello,
No,
Cyril.
is there no question? I had one very, very small question
Very, very small.
about you. Why did you ever get an Indian name?
Why did I ever get an Indian name? Because I never felt the need for it.
Wow, that's strange.
Many people, many Westerners who come to India, they change their name, and often when they ask me whether they should do so, I very much support them. I said, yes, that's a good thing to do, because often it helps people to feel, okay, one chapter is finished, I'm ready for a new chapter. But I never felt this was relevant in my story, so never that idea was strong. And when I was in the beginning with Amma, then from the beginning, when I was with her, I just was sitting somewhere or other. At the beginning, I just had to always try to figure out one little quiet corner where I can hide a little bit. But then there were just a few rooms, sheds like my roof here. This woven palm leaf sheds. That huge ashram that is there now, there was simply nothing there. A few sheds, and once I came in the evening into that shed, and Amma declared to everybody, Werner's name is now Dhyananandam.
Dhyananandam.
And then I thought for myself, well, okay, why not? If she wants to, she can give me that name, but I'm longing for the real thing. I don't simply want a new name. I want what is real. And then suddenly I looked up and saw how sharp she was observing me. Well, was observing what was going on in my mind, because Dhyananandam basically is a Swami name, and if she had officially given me that name all in the beginning with the few boys that we had there, it would have been something like giving a certain status or something. And she was looking whether I'm jumping on it and getting proud of it or so, and seeing that I was not interested at all, she just nodded like this. And since then, never ever did she nor I ask whether we should change my name. So I'm still good old Werner.
Great. That's great.
Who cares? It's a name.
No, because, I mean, it's just anecdotic, but some people, they get, I won't say who, but they get great Indian name. And then after they have to go back because people realize who they are, what they are doing. And so they go back to their old name, previous name, because they cannot stand on the name they have been given, Indian name they have been given. So,
yeah, but I mean, it may be inspiring, especially I thought that after that, Amma was doing that, Amma was doing that often to people, giving them a name, and you would wonder, how can she see that in that person? Because often that was so totally lacking, the name, what she was giving as name. But often people felt inspired to try to approach a certain quality that was expressed with their name. So often she was giving a name as an inspiration.
Yeah.
And like Sudha, she had gotten her name actually long ago, not directly from Amma, but her mother, when Sudha was in Switzerland, a young girl, her mother asked whether Amma has a name for her daughter, and Amma said Sudha, but she never used it. she kept it. She said to her mother when they came home to Switzerland, she said, don't tell this anybody, this is my secret name. She never used it. And then when she came 97 to the ashram, and somehow really started to change from a totally different story into a new story, I encouraged her a lot to really use that name now.
Okay.
As a help for the mind to become aware, okay, one chapter is closed, as a help also for the parents that one chapter, that her and son Kind, as they have known her, may be changing now and not more be the same personality.
Okay, of course. Yeah.
So it can be helpful.
Yes. No.
You asked for this story, and there it never that need was felt. So, voila.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Anybody else?
Hello, Werner.
Hello. Lutz. Hello, Lutz.
Hey.
Hey.
You were talking always about the personality versus the kind of witness of the personality or something beyond the personality.
Yeah.
And when you say personality, it sounds something solid. It sounds like we are kind of one person. But I actually, myself, I experience myself as many persons.
Yes.
And these many persons also, they change, and they kind of get stronger or weaker when I am with certain other people.
Yeah.
So, for example, right now, in this satsang with you, some aspect of me gets to the kind of foreground or gets more active, which is quite clear and light and yeah, something like that, very, very grossly described. Whereas if I'm with some rude people, maybe then some other some also some rudeness in me is kind of energized.
Yes.
So, and sometimes also spontaneously some totally new aspects of myself, they manifest in me. That means a couple of days ago, suddenly I felt a wonderful presence in my heart, and being in that kind of wonderful presence in my heart, I could disconnect from all kind of lower cravings, I would tell them, or kind of a more heavy aspects of myself, and was very beautiful. But unfortunately, for example, today it has flown away, like a butterfly had landed in my heart, and for some time I felt like a butterfly, and all my problems and my worries were also sort of gone, because this butterfly was totally attached to all that. It seemed like a messenger from a different world, but somehow it was also me. And today it's gone, and I'm kind of more. I'm more I feel more I'm the usual Lutz. And so anyway, I experience myself, this personality is a very changing thing. It is every day a little bit something different, and there are some periods where certain aspects of myself come to the foreground and they do something, and then sometime later it's something different is happening. And yeah, so it's not a kind of the personality, but it seems to be some kind of flowing thing. So how can I call the butterfly back?
I think the butterfly was not one aspect of the Lutz personality, but a messenger from yourself. Yeah, of course, it's just a difference of words. You can say there are all these different personalities in you, or you can say these are all aspects of the Lutz personality.
Okay.
But I mean, you are not Lutz. Lutz is a role you are playing temporary for a lifetime, but there is much, much more to you than Lutz. And Lutz, of course, has a number of different aspects. And people, believe me, I know this fellow since 40 years now. It's just a difference of how we use the words. So of course, all these different aspects are there. All these different facets are there. And the person is continuously changing and flowing. But these are all expressions of you, but you cannot say that you are any of these. That's not what you are. These are temporary expressions of yourself. And the whole Lutz personality is a temporary expression of yourself. You're way more than Lutz. You're a divine being that has projected whatever was necessary to manifest Lutz in this time-space continuum, to go through this story, this temporal story, and collect experience and learn and grow. But then we always have that option, whether the attention is totally lost in that personality, or whether it comes back to the source, to that which makes the whole experience possible. And the butterfly was like a call to come home. A call. It's not that it's part of Lutz that you have lost again. It's more that you became aware, there is something way more than all this, what you call then the lower parts or whatever, the lower aspects that you could then easily see and let go when the butterfly was there. But that butterfly is not really gone, simply it's escaped your attention.
Sounds like good news.
Yes, the news is great. You're a divine being, Lucy.
Thank you.
Anybody would like to come? because there were still sounds coming in, I've again muted everybody. Please, anybody who would like to come in and talk, you have to unmute before you can talk.
Hello, Werner.
Yes, hello.
My name is Natasha. You don't know me. I haven't been to your satsangs in person, but I have heard about you a lot. And today, the first time
I see a name, Nata Shanti, but I don't see a picture. Are you Nata Shanti?
Yes, yes,
No.
yes.
Ah, you are. Yeah. I see your name, but not your picture. Can you turn your camera on?
I'm trying to do it, but somehow it doesn't work. I don't know why.
Oh, okay. Then we can also talk just like this.
I'm
okay.
sorry.
Hello.
I really. Okay, I have a question. A question about being a doer or not a doer. Okay, I'll try to explain. Like, if we see something, it's not like that we are doing it, but it just the thing is the thing happens.
Yeah.
It happens just because we have the eyes and we have the ability to see.
Yeah.
Is this correct? Yeah. Then my question is, why don't we see in the same way our real nature? Why is it so hard, so difficult for us to understand who we really are? Why this personality covers it? So why the seeing of our real nature doesn't happen naturally to us, the same as the seeing the light with our eyes? Like this.
Yeah. Right. Because it's not the same to see. I'm looking whether I find you somewhere that I could turn on your camera from this side, but I don't find you. Okay. Never mind. We talk like this. You know, to understand if you look at our personality and have an honest look, then we start to understand how we are functioning. We start to understand connections. We can see them because it's something that we can grasp. That it's still a matter of the intellect that has a chance to grasp something, to understanding personal flows, understanding contradictory ways how we are functioning, understanding this, understanding that. We can see it, we can understand, we can adjust. But your true nature is not something you ever will grasp. It's not like you're doing your practice, and eventually you get it. If you do self-inquiry, for example, and ask the question, who am I? It's not a question that you can ask, who am I? Who am I? Who am I? And then eventually, suddenly, tuk, the answer pops up and you know. You cannot know in that way who you are. You can only be who you are. As long as people think, now I got it, they are wrong. Then they got some ID, and that ID has helped them to be a bit broader, and then they think that's it. But that's just another aspect. That which makes the whole experience possible, you cannot in any way grasp. No teaching could ever express it. However beautiful the teaching, it's simply a pointer at the mystery that we can never grasp. And that's why you will never be able to understand and see your true nature the way you see all the other aspects of yourself, all the expressions of yourself. When we come at the point and think, oh, that's my true nature, now I know, then we may have discovered a new, broader, subtler aspect, and it's still an expression.
Thank you.
Is your question answered?
Yes, yes.
The thing is,
I see my mistake because actually I was sure that it happens like this, that I do the self-inquiry and then click at some point.
eventually the click comes, huh? Eventually the great click is happening.
So
you know,
there will not be,
sorry?
There won't be a click.
Yes, there may be all kinds of clicks, but don't mistake those clicks that are happening and, this is what they are talking about. Whenever these clicks are happening, then you can be thankful for the opening that has happened and don't stop there. Don't jump to the conclusion, oh, now that's what enlightenment is, now I'm enlightened, and go out and proclaim your enlightenment. That's what so many people are doing on the whole spiritual market. And I have a bit of mischievous joking way of talking about that all those enlightened Chis that are walking around, they simply shifted from the delusion of not being enlightened to the delusion of being enlightened. And they should get rid of both of them, and then they are natural.
Okay.
So,
okay, thank you very much.
If breakthroughs are happening, if clicks are happening, then accept them with joy, that from then on it will be easier. But don't stop there. Don't think, oh, that's what they have been talking about, that's what enlightenment is. Just forget about the whole idea of enlightenment and be yourself, be natural, and then let that experience unfold, and there is no limit to that.
I see. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Yeah, Pranam, namaste.
Namaste.
Hello, Werner.
Hello.
Can you hear me good?
Yeah, I can hear you. And now I nearly see you. I see half of your face.
No.
Now I see you.
Okay.
Hello, Anita.
Hello. Yes, hello. You just said that we cannot grasp it, but what can we then?
I didn't quite understand the question. Can you repeat?
You said we cannot grasp it. We cannot.
Oh, yeah.
So the question is, what can we then?
Be it. You can be it. You are that. But then our attention has so strongly developed that habit to not be aware of that, but to be aware of something that we are thinking about, something that we are feeling, something that we are perceiving through our senses, the world that we are creating through our sense perceptions, that the attention is so totally caught up in that, and then more, especially the role we are playing in that world that we have created through our sense perception, that me personality, the attention is so locked into that we are so totally unaware that prior to that which every moment makes the whole experience possible is always there, and we are not aware of it. You can become aware of it. You are that, but somehow we forgot that, but you cannot even really totally say that you forgot it, because without knowing, everybody is always diving back into that in moments of letting go. Zoom, it's here, that momentary just being, but it's so fleeting, and people come out and get excited about things that they are not aware how wonderful actually that base is, and it would be so much more advisable to get rooted there and function from that perspective.
Yes,
But it's not that you eventually intellect, understanding all this comes after. This is prior. This is before that. It's before time and space. It's before this whole story begins. It's first, and then out of that comes the whole creation, and we are recreating and recreating our personal creation. Understanding is very useful on its own level. We can understand a lot of stuff. If we look at our story, if we see how we are creating suffering again and again, if we understand that actually it's just a pattern that we keep on repeating over and over, all this kind of understanding is very useful. To see that, to understand that, to let go of that, and to redirect the attention back to the source. And all the teachings, they are just pointers that help us, that we should direct the attention in the right direction. They are not really definitions of reality, however wonderful they are sounding. I mean, the Advaita says you are timeless, spaceless, birthless, deathless, uncreated. You are Brahman, you are Satchit Ananda. These are not definitions. It doesn't really define anything. It's just a pointer, a help for the mind, whatever aspect from all that list that I just told before that is inspiring. You can hook into that and go with it, but then eventually we just have even to let these kind of thoughts go and just be. And nobody can say that that we don't know it. Whenever you say I, just for a moment, immediately the attention is touching something so totally familiar. After that, we have the tendency, out of habit, we tell all these stories. I'm like this, I'm like that, the whole story comes, and there we get completely lost in that jungle. But prior to that, if you simply say, hi, there is that intensity there, and that most familiar existence. Nobody can say, I don't know it, but I cannot know it in the sense I know something else. But like with my intellect, when I know something with my intellect, then there's the subject who knows the object, and I can do all this stuff. And there is no subject or object. There is just that intensity that you are touching when you say, hi. And that intensity is so totally familiar. You cannot possibly say, I don't know it, but you cannot really define it. You cannot understand it. You cannot grasp it. You are that. But we can come back to with the attention consciously. And as long as the habit pulls the attention away again and again, then we come back again and again. And if we keep on doing that, then those moments will come where it just starts to happen sometime, out of the blue. You don't know how and why and where it came from. Just everything is so simple and easy. And you wonder why you're not functioning all the time like this.
Yeah, because the conditionings
Yes,
are so strong. But yeah, I experiment with it from time to time. It does work, even in communication with people.
Yeah.
In a way that I just stop a little bit and see what my mind is doing, like thinking, oh, this is really a boring conversation that's going on right now. And then that just happened recently. I just thought to myself, but is it really? Well, it's also a story, boring or interesting. It's all a story. So I just stopped and really listened and was aware. And then suddenly the person said to me, are you meditating? I said, why? Yeah, I can feel that. And I didn't do anything. I was just really listening in the moment and being aware that my mind was saying, oh, this is a boring talk. And yeah, and that's also my, somehow, I know I should not have any desires, but I do have the desire to connect more with people from in this, yeah, beyond all these programs. But I don't know. I just have to see if it, how and if it works. Because
Yeah.
I'm bored with all this life, with, you know, all these programs.
You're bored.
Well, I mean, it's,
yeah.
Yeah, I know bored is maybe not the right word. But
yeah. You just have, you have had enough of it.
Yeah.
Right. Right. It's as long as it's always pulling the attention in it, and then it leads again to suffering, and we find ourselves completely locked in situation, then one can definitely develop that sense of, oh, I have had it, I don't want it anymore. Now, just don't worry about it anymore and bring the attention back to you. And then after that, whatever play comes, you just play. And that play can become quite fun if you don't take it so serious. If you don't leave the life out of compulsion. Compulsion from the past, from the conditioning, from the society who wants to do something, that you do something, but out of that it becomes spontaneous, playful expressions of yourself, then this dream world, this dream life can be quite fun.
I started reading also the book, the Yoga Vasishta.
What did you read in the Yoga Vasishta?
Well, I started reading it. I'm reading it now.
Ah, yes, yes. Right.
I had this book at my bookshelf since many years, but I never read it because I think maybe I once looked into it and I thought this is crazy. But now I'm just reading it, and some stories are really, I have to read it twice to kind of be able to follow even the story.
Yeah, yeah. Well, read it if it appeals.
No,
and
it's good. I like it.
Ah, yeah, good. Yeah, it's a treasure. It's a treasure.
Okay, thank you, Werner.
You're welcome. Wish you well, Anita.
Yeah.
Well, I think we have taken quite some time now. We could stop for today, and then we can continue next Saturday. So no, actually today I have for the first time a computer. I have my first computer in my life. So I have to know to see how I'm doing that. I'm turning now the recording off. I hope so. No, it's not going.
Werner, can you please show us Arunachala?
Yes, that I can try. It's not as easy as with the tablet.
Ah, okay. Okay, I understand.
But let me see. Because I don't look out the other side. I cannot really see now what you're seeing.
It's perfect.
Okay.
Yes, it's very good. Perfect. Good shot.
Very nice.
Okay, there we go. Now I just have to see where do I turn off the recording.